Hey, my babies, this is Robyn with part 4 of What the Church Needs to Know About Satanic Ritual Abuse. Today, I want to talk about dissociative identity disorder, which is not the best word for it. That is the scientific term. I do, in a sense, respect that. However, it can cause harm and it can cause stigma and sort of label. A lot of people will say that they have insiders, and I understand that that's not a bad way of looking at it. However, I prefer to use the word parts because it constantly reminds me and others that these people are parts of the person. It's not really that complicated when you understand that a child part of them feels this way, or the teenage part of them feels this way, or something like that. It's not that hard. So in dealing with this, it's important to keep in mind that the enemy has not created anything. He made nothing. All he has is weak, distorted, watered down distortions of something that God created. So what are parts? When I was going through my own journey, I got a little upset. It was very, very difficult, and I was crying to the Lord, and he said, what's wrong with having parts? That he has 3. Whew. So anyway, what I have discovered and what I have gained an understanding is that this is the way that we are. We have parts so that we can behave differently at work than we do at home. We, in a sense, have different personalities in those situations. A man is a different way with his wife than he is with his daughter, than he is with his mother. The same thing for women. It's not a bad thing. However, when it comes to repeated childhood trauma, a person can form amnesia walls, and then they'll have a part of them that can handle those traumas because they didn't get a chance to process it before the next trauma happened. The enemy has known this for a long, long time, and it is a major, major aspect of how the occult operates. The people in the occult have been programmed, mind control program, which is just SRA. It's really not all that different from what other SRA people have experienced, but they are still being controlled by this programming, and they can be one person during the day and a completely opposite person at night and be able to operate as normally. Nothing scary about them, law-abiding citizens, never hurt anybody, and at night doing the most evil of deeds as the occult wishes. It's a good tactic for them to hide, pardon the word good, but it works for them. However, when people have gone through that, like myself, and had that kind of mind control programming, but they are approaching God and they're reaching out to other believers, it becomes very, very difficult because they have parts that have been programmed to block that. And the parts can get quite mean. The parts can hold on to sin, which will keep demonic doors open in their life. I see this all the time. People begging and crying and repenting 100%. But there's this part of them that they're not aware of that is keeping them in sin because they have hurt feelings. Some of them hate Jesus. Sometimes parts just hate Jesus. Thank God I didn't have any of that. But that becomes a real problem when you're bringing a person to the Lord, is to understand that they have parts on that are objecting to it, and they're not consciously aware of that. This sounds absolutely impossible to deal with. It is definitely the cause of such difficulty that deliverance ministers have with SRA survivors, is because they don't understand that. The typical and biblical deliverance process is not necessarily bad, and it is biblical for the most part. I'm not saying everybody does it right, but it's often done quite well. However, it's not going to work for an SRA survivor because there's a lack of understanding of these processes that they went through. Most of what they need is just to be heard, and each one of their parts need to be recognized and talked to because it's part of a person. It's not a little alien, and often when the occult forms personalities, they do attach a demon to it, but that part itself is just a part of the individual. That's it. They need to be recognized, they need to be loved, they need to be talked to, they need to be brought to the Lord, just like everyone else. So this seems absolutely impossible. Yes, it does. But in the end, what I have found is great success in the fact that it only forces a person to completely submit to God. I mean prayer, hours a day, being able to walk into a room and act, stand, and speak, and everything you do is exactly under the commandment of God. We have to be able to do that in these situations, which is not a bad thing. Anyway, this video is a long time coming, you guys, and I love y'all, and talk to you soon. I know it's not a finished product, but